The story of Prophet Abraham. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're going to discuss the amazing and powerful story of Prophet Abraham, his journey, the promises God made to him, and the lessons we can learn from his life. Stay tuned and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on more fascinating stories from the Bible. Genesis 11 verses 10 to 32. After the great flood in the days of Noah, the world began to repopulate through Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. From the line of Shem came a man named Terah, who had 3 sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran died early, leaving behind a son named Lot. Abram married a woman named Sarai, but they had no children. Genesis 12 verses 1 to 5. They lived in a city called Ur of the Chaldeans, a place filled with idols and false gods. But one day, the one true God spoke to Abram. He told him, "Leave your country, your family, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you." Without hesitation, Abram obeyed. At the age of 75, he took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions and set out toward the land of Canaan. Genesis 12 verses 6 to 9. When Abram reached Canaan, God appeared to him again and promised, "To your offspring I will give this land." But Abram and Sarai still had no children, and years went by. At one point, a famine forced them to go to Egypt, where they stayed for a time before returning to the land. Genesis 13. God continued to bless Abram, and his wealth grew. Lot, who traveled with him, also prospered. Eventually, their herdsmen began to quarrel, so Abram suggested they part ways. Lot chose the fertile land near the city of Sodom, and Abram remained in the land of Canaan. After Lot left, God told Abram to look in every direction, saying, "All the land you see I will give to you and your descendants forever." Genesis 15. But still, there was no child. One night, God took Abram outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if you can. That is how many descendants you will have." Abram believed the Lord, and because of that, God counted him as righteous. God then made a covenant with him, promising that his descendants would inherit the land from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates. Genesis 16. Time passed, and Sarai remained barren. So she gave her servant Hagar to Abram to bear a child. Hagar conceived and gave birth to a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. But God had other plans. Genesis 17. He appeared to Abram again when he was 99 years old and gave him a new name, Abraham, meaning, father of many. Sarai's name was also changed to Sarah, meaning, princess. God promised that she would bear a son, even in her old age, and that child would be the true heir of the promise. Abraham laughed in amazement. Will a child be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at 90? But God assured him, "Yes, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you shall call him Isaac." Genesis 18 verses 1 to 15. Shortly after, God visited Abraham with 2 angels, appearing as 3 men. Abraham welcomed them and prepared a meal. As they sat and ate, one of them said, "This time next year, Sarah will have a son." Sarah, listening from inside the tent, laughed to herself. But God said, "Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord?" Genesis 18 verses 16 to 33, 19. Then came the time when God revealed his plan to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah because of their wickedness. Abraham pleaded with God, asking if he would spare the cities if 50 righteous people were found. He bargained down, all the way to 10. But not even 10 righteous people could be found, and the cities were destroyed. Yet God remembered Abraham and rescued Lot before the destruction. Genesis 21 verses 1 to 7. Finally, just as God had promised, Sarah gave birth to a son. They named him Isaac, which means, laughter, because both Abraham and Sarah had laughed when they first heard the promise. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born, and he loved him dearly. Genesis 22 verses 1 to 19. But then came a great test. God spoke to Abraham and said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering." Abraham obeyed without hesitation. Early the next morning, he took Isaac and journeyed to the mountain. Isaac noticed the wood and the fire but asked, "Father, where is the lamb for the offering?" Abraham replied, "God will provide." When they reached the place, Abraham built an altar, tied up Isaac, and laid him on the wood. As he raised the knife to slay his son, the angel of the Lord called out, "Abraham! Abraham! Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you did not withhold your son from me." Then Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in a bush. He offered it instead of his son, and he named the place, "The Lord will provide." Genesis 23. Years later, Sarah died at the age of 127. Abraham bought a burial cave in Hebron and laid her to rest. Genesis 24. In his old age, Abraham arranged for a wife to be found for Isaac from among his own people, and the servant he sent returned with Rebekah. Genesis 25 verses 1-11. Abraham lived to be 175 years old. He passed away full of years and was buried beside Sarah. His legacy lived on through Isaac, the child of promise, and even through Ishmael, whom God also blessed to become a great nation. Thanks for watching the story of Prophet Abraham. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories and lessons from the Bible. See you in the next one.